You know, for over half a century, the entire tech world had this one guiding light, a kind of North Star that promised everything would get faster, cheaper, and more powerful. But what happens when that star starts to burn out? Well, what comes next is something that is, and I quote, rompiendo la ley de Moore en mil pedazos, or smashing Moore's law into 1,000 pieces. Let's really dig into what that means, and what's on the other side. So, what we're talking about here is a massive, fundamental shift in the world of computing. We're actually moving past the very rule that defined the entire digital revolution, and we're entering a brand new era, one that's being driven by the just explosive power of artificial intelligence. And believe me, this isn't just some techie update, it's truly the end of one age and the dawn of a completely new one. All right, so to really get where we're headed, we've got to look back at where we came from. For 50 years, one simple idea was basically the strategic compass for the whole tech industry. And it wasn't a law of physics or anything, but honestly, it might as well have been. And that brings us to Moore's Law. Back in 1965, Gordon Moore, one of the founders of Intel, just noticed a pattern. He saw that the number of tiny components, these things called transistors, that you could cram onto a chip was doubling at this incredibly regular pace. And that observation, it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. It was a target that drove the entire industry to innovate like crazy, making our tech exponentially more powerful and cheaper, year after year after year. And what's kind of funny is the law we all talk about isn't even the original one. Moore's first prediction, way back in '65, was that this doubling would happen every single year. It was only 10 years later that he adjusted it to the 2-year cycle we're all familiar with. That 1975 version is the one that stuck, the one that became the steady heartbeat of progress for decades. Okay, so let's try to get a real sense of scale here. This is where it all started. Back in 1971, the Intel 4004 chip. I mean, this thing was revolutionary, one of the first microprocessors ever. It had just 2,300 transistors. Just, remember that number. And then, you jump forward 50 years to this. 60 billion transistors on a single chip. That absolutely insane exponential leap is the entire reason you have a literal supercomputer sitting in your pocket right now.
But here's the thing about exponential growth. It can't go on forever. The most powerful engine of progress the world has ever seen is, well, it's hitting a wall. And the reasons why are pretty fundamental.
The problem really boils down to two hard limits. First, you've got the laws of physics. We've made transistors so unbelievably small, we're talking about sizes approaching a handful of atoms, that spooky quantum effects start to take over. Electrons literally start to tunnel or ghost right through barriers they're supposed to stay behind, which makes the chip unreliable. And second, you've got economics. Building a factory, a fab, to make these microscopic marvels now costs tens of billions of dollars. The price tag is just astronomical, and that breaks the whole cheaper part of the Moore's Law promise. But as one engine starts to sputter, another one is roaring to life. The focus is no longer just about shrinking transistors. No, the new era is all about designing the entire system, the hardware, the software, the algorithms, to all work together in perfect harmony for one incredibly demanding job: artificial intelligence. The entire game has changed. You can see it right here. We used to be obsessed with counting transistors. Now, the new metric is all about AI performance. We measure it in something called flops, which is basically how many ridiculously complex calculations you can do per second. Progress isn't just about making things smaller anymore. It's about the synergy of the whole stack. And the speed of improvement, it's just breathtaking. We're now seeing performance double in 12 months, sometimes even less. It's wild. So, what does this new kind of progress actually feel like? Well, get this. In 2012, training a really important AI model called AlexNet took 6 days. Today, with all this optimized gear, it takes just 18 minutes. That is a 500 times speed up. This is what the new era of acceleration is all about. So you're probably asking, how in the world is this even happening? Well, it's not just one single thing. It's actually a powerful, self-reinforcing cycle that's built on 3 pillars that are all connected. Let's break them down. So the engine of AI acceleration is really powered by super specialized hardware, which is unlocked by brilliant new algorithms, and then it's all fueled by just massive amounts of data and computing scale. Each one of these pillars just feeds right back into the others.
Okay, let's dig into that first pillar, the hardware. Your typical computer chip, a CPU, is kind of like a jack of all trades. It's good at a lot of things. But for AI, you need a specialist. So what's the difference between these new tools of the trade?
Think of it like this. On one side, you have GPUs, which originally came from video games. Their secret is that they can do thousands of things at once in parallel, which is perfect for the heavy lifting of training an AI model. Then you have ASICs. These are custom-built chips designed to do one and only one thing perfectly. So the GPU is like the high-tech, flexible workshop where you invent new things, and the ASIC is the hyper-efficient factory floor that churns out the final product. Now, all that incredible hardware would be kind of useless without the right software to take advantage of it. And that brings us to pillar number 2, the algorithms. The real game changer here was an innovation from 2017 called the transformer architecture. See, older AI models had to process data one piece at a time, step by step. But the transformer could look at a whole sentence, a whole sequence of data all at once. And it just so happened that this method was a perfect match for the parallel power of GPUs. It was like the software finally existed to unlock the hardware's true potential. And when you put that hardware and software together, you get to pillar number 3, just mind-boggling scale. This chart shows you the amount of pure computational power needed to train these big AI models. Back in 2012, AlexNet was a tiny fraction of a petaflop. By 2020, training GPT-3 needed over 3,000 petaflops. And a petaflop, by the way, is 1,000 trillion calculations per second. This just insatiable hunger for more and more compute is what fuels the entire cycle, pushing everyone to build even more powerful hardware.
Okay, but this incredible exponential progress, it doesn't come for free. This new era of AI acceleration brings with it a whole new class of huge, complex challenges that, honestly, we're just beginning to wrestle with. These new barriers tend to fall into 3 big buckets. You've got the sheer amount of energy it takes to power these massive systems, and the insane financial cost to even build them in the first place. And then you have all of the tricky, complex questions about how this powerful technology actually gets used out in the real world. And if you drill down into those risks, the big conversations are happening around a few key areas. For instance, there's a huge focus on the data we're feeding these systems, because if the data has human biases in it, the AI can amplify them. Then there's the black box problem. These models are so complex, it's really hard to know exactly why they make the decisions they do. And of course, there's a ton of discussion around the future of work and the economic impact of all this automation. So here we are. We're at this massive turning point. Moore's Law gave us 50 years of progress that was pretty predictable, and it made technology accessible to almost everyone. Its successor, AI acceleration, is giving us change that's way faster, way more powerful, but it's also more concentrated and it's filled with new complexities. And it really leaves us all with one critical question. This new era is promising us unprecedented power, but will we develop the wisdom to wield it responsibly?